have. Oh, you don't have 30 seconds. I already took it too. Good. I have my tea really loaded up.
Good.
Stephanie, look it over. I'm serious about it. Yeah. Any of me, she was what? So cute. You are perfect. I thought you were thinking.
No child support.
No child support.
I see.
He just takes his babysit.
She's good.
She made them. That was all right.
So thank you.
Right? Weird. But it's totally not gonna come down. But it was like, you're just like, no. I love that. I think on that word.
You know, when they tell you to like identify the ink blot, I'm like, what does this look like? And they're like, a butterfly, a craft door. Well, I can see there's a bee. They're like,
Okay.
what does this look like? It looks like an ink blot of a child. Oh,
Ready? I was
it was like, one person came and was definitely not it.
Well, Susie said that you were. Okay, I got the bill. Okay.
That's all there is.
What about like the lips? Stuff that you're not healing. No.
You're like,
I'm Stephanie. Hi, I'm here. I would. That's what I do.
Well, how is everybody?
Dan, fantastic. How are you?
Good thing to be. I'm good.
and then you don't.
It's a chaos today. Long. Wow, maybe that's not gonna be my dream.
We get all presidential.
Yeah.
He's gonna be a part of the life.
Everyone good? You like to learn how to work a clicker? I guess I don't know how to work a clicker.
I know. Are you in charge today?
Is that
Scary
scary?
thought.
All right, we're gonna start with some buckets.
All right, bye kiddo.
Who's got one? Who's got a bucket they want to fill? Really?
I think you did awesome when we were doing our commercial bill with him, so.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
We're just starting, so we'll see how it goes. I might not say the same thing in a month, week. And who else? Who's got something?
I'll go
Okay, good.
to Christine for sharing her listing packet with me and her buyer sellers questionnaire. On 24 pages.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
How long ago was that? Was that about a month ago when she offered to share that with everybody?
Yeah.
And how many people have who got it and read through it and have now adapted that into their business? A few of you?
I've read it.
You read through it? Awesome.
So, does that get signs to share it so you guys can just drop your stuff in? It doesn't work. So, no, here's the thing though. So my daughter is really good at Canva, and so I'm asking her to like recreate stuff into Canva for me. So that's the next project. So as soon as she gets that, then I will share you guys the Canva link, and then you'll be able to make your own.
More editable. How awesome is that? Yeah. It's an employing the youth and teaching them work ethic. So how awesome is that? Okay. Yeah, that's so awesome that you're willing to share it. Who else has some buckets they want to fill?
She freaking picked up a buyer from our open house, and she's like converting them into probably. Selling. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Dalton held an open house for me and it turned out to be a buy and well, sell and hopefully a buying too, right? Okay.
The buyer's actually gonna buy the open house.
I hope.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yes.
Gotta knock on wood, so I don't jinx it. How many people have been in the business and have never actually sold their open house? Like most people have never sold their open house. I mean, you
Only
sell the
every
house, but
Saturday
not
for
to
the
that
last 3
person.
years.
Total unicorn. Oh, and it was what did you call it?
Working man.
A working man's open house. I'd never heard of that. He's like, "Are you open to me doing this?" I'm like, "Yeah, just tell the damn thing." So it was Wednesday, Thursday, 4:30 to 6:30.
Yeah, basically you're hunting people coming back from during commute hours.
Yeah.
And you throw a bunch of signs out on the arterial. On Wednesday, you don't expect a lot of traffic necessarily because it's the middle of the week, people are busy, whatever, but when the signs are up there, again, the second day in a row and they've slept on it, you get people popping in. My experience was exactly backwards. I had a ridiculous amount of people on Wednesday and then a bunch of people turn around and leave. And nobody stopped in on Thursday.
But you're gonna wear
Got the
a
one that we
safety
need.
vest and a hard hat.
Yeah, right, exactly.
See your signs both days, so. He had a ton of signs up, you could not miss it, and then a little head on the bottom. sticker.
Awesome. It's a good
Good
bucket,
job.
Phil. Who else? Okay, I'm gonna do one last one. I'm gonna thank Corey in advance. He is going to be talking for, what did we say, 45 minutes to an hour? Just kidding. Just kidding.
holding 18.
He's gonna be talking about negotiating, so I'm gonna fill his bucket, so we'll give you a little bit of, he'll give you more in depth, but we'll give you a little bit about that as we get to it. Am I pushing the wrong direction? Okay, so tomorrow, to observe Juneteenth, am I saying that right? The office will be closed. And we'll resume your normal activities. You guys don't have to be closed, but the office will be. We're gonna resume everything again as normal on Thursday. So with that being said, we have Ignite today, 5 to 8, as well as.
It's 6 to 8 today, because of test prep.
We have it 6 to 8 tonight, and then 5 to 8 on Thursday. And I don't see test prep on there. We have also,
You're both you're trying to pass the real estate exam.
anyone here need to pass the test? Does anyone here think they could still pass the test? My hand around. I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could. So the crazy part is, the math back then seemed so scary, and now it's like I can do it in my sleep.
Yeah. Try it.
Things that.
I have no idea how much square feet are in an acre.
What?
What?
It does not know that. 43,560.
43,560.
With a 0 on it.
Did not
Say again?
stick.
7-11, 4-3, 5-6 is 11, and then a 0 on the end. That's how I learned it.
I don't need to get that.
That might, I mean, it was like 0 on it.
Yeah, now Jess will get it now from 7-Eleven.
I type in 0.2 acres and then it gives me, or it's the opposite. I don't know.
I have to learn these weird.
Me too, that's easy, that's fun.
Anyway, you guys, if you want to talk more about that, come tonight. Right? At what time?
It's 5 to 6.
5 to 6. Contracts with Ken on Friday. Thanks, Ken, for doing that every week. Oh, and then Red Bash. See this right here? You see this right here? We do have a whole slide. The sign up for it is, sorry, the deadline for the sign up is Friday. What does that mean? Should we just have you guys talk now? We can go into the slide that next anyway. I don't have control again. No, this is on the next one. We'll have you talk about Red Bash and we'll skip that slide when we get to it. You want to wait?
Okay. Oh, do you want me to talk?
Oh, I think that you gotta wait because it has a QR code on it.
Okay,
Wait
we'll have
one
you wait.
second.
I wanted to remind, I had Bradley throw a slide in last minute. Because I could not remember the name of this earlier. I was like, what's that name? That guy, he does the marketing. And then he just looking at me all blank. And I knew once I heard the name, I would remember. So, do you guys remember he came on, the guy talked about all the different stuff they can do. Remember that website and the email address, because they are super, super helpful with all your marketing needs.
Got great video,
Should we-
videos too.
Just type it at the top of the,
Just go to YouTube and put in Scott Leroy.
well, I know, but if people forgot that, just write it up on there.
That's right. Well, you need to keep it on there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that would be a great idea. In fact, I think what we should do is have a QR code somewhere in the office hanging. Does that work? They have so many, they have a ton of marketing stuff that we don't even know that they have unless you go in there and mess with it. So, Anita was her and I were talking about some of the luxury marketing stuff that they do in that community. And we all heard about it, we've all seen it, but she's like, you know, where's the structure? And I'm like, there's a guy for that. Okay. We're not gonna talk about this unless you want to talk about it, Ken. You want to talk about it right now?
No, I think
Because we haven't gone further with. I didn't realize this slide was in here. We haven't gone further in this. We are going to create a 75 hard edition. We're gonna adjust some of these things in here. We're gonna want to try to push and promote everyone to participate. There's no one who's gonna not have a conversation around it.
Yeah, July 1st, it's gonna start 75 business days. So
Yeah.
excluding weekends and holidays. And so,
So Ken and I need to set aside the time to write all the different rules that we'll share with you guys, but this is the gist of it. Don't be scared. It'll be
Good.
fun, but it's not gonna be easy. It's gonna stretch your business. And part of what we thought was we finished Bold. We did Bold so well as a group, and to kind of continue some of that camaraderie around it by doing that. That's why we're thinking. Mega Agent Camp is coming up. Who's going? Some hands. Someone's not. Justin's not. You have too much family reunion. I know we got a good sized group going as a market center. Mega Agent Camp is always in Austin. And if you've never embraced Austin, it's one of the coolest towns and the education there is phenomenal.
Wait,
Does anyone
it's
know,
even better.
does anyone know the difference between mega and family, the biggest differences?
The master. Right?
Corey?
The breakout sessions are really something else, but basically at Mega. They go up in front and they bring people out and Gary interviews them, and basically just take notes. It's awesome, that's actually my favorite one. Family reunion, he does a little bit of that, but then he also has a bunch of different breakout sessions that are specific, you can kind of look for what I need in my business, to find.
Yep. So the biggest difference is they're on, if you think of like the main stage people at family reunion, Mega Camp is almost all main stage people. There are some stuff on the side, but for the most part, you're just there taking his notes as quickly as you possibly can. And they rotate through. This handful of interviews will be on open houses or whatever it may be. This handful of interviews will be on database building. Instead of going to different breakouts, you're just sitting in one spot in the big room. That's why I like that. I feel like I get more out of Mega than I do family reunion. That's awesome. It is. I don't know really anything about this. Anyone know anything about this?
So you can go to Austin for the 249. I think, oh no, this is virtual, right? You did a virtual one though. I think it was more money to go to Austin. But it's just a class that they're doing with Phil Jones. I think it's virtual. That's all I know.
No one else knows anything about it?
That's what actually. That Phil Jones wrote a couple of books, exactly what to say. Basically, Rhonda got to see him, she went to the luxury. It's exactly what to say, what the different situations. So it's very good.
if you don't own the book, get the book for the real estate agents, and I just bought cards. They're like 65 bucks for one, or 250 for 10, so I bought 10. Anybody wants to buy them off of me and save 40 bucks? FYI.
They did.
Build your profit share tree. Okay, so K-Score, so KW has their own school, we call it K-Score. And when they refer, it's not offered free to everyone, it's like a wink wink. they almost have to come through an agent in order to, or one of our associates in order to get into the program. However, if you've got someone you feel that would like our profession, right, we can help them get rolling. I'm gonna move this. Are you taking a picture? Get the QR code. Okay. Okay, here's your slide.
Let's go. Ann.
Come on up, you two. I'm gonna go spit my gum.
Okay, guys, we need you to sign up. We have 6 people so far. I've had 3 other people that said they're gonna. This is awesome. It's for your clients. It's $100. I mean, you can't really go anywhere else and do as many clients as you want for $100. We've had a lot of people ask questions about it, so it's basically carnival style. You get to pick whatever game you want, go on to Moo or Shane, grab prizes. We are making it not like the right one group. We're
You're not
making,
gonna have a booth. So
Yeah.
You're gonna do your game, there's no like agent specific booth. You
Yeah.
have to run a game.
so anyway, then that way you can have your kids run it if you want, you can do whatever you want, however. But it's gonna be fun. We're gonna do pizza, we're gonna do, we're trying right now to get a dunk tank. Don't know if that's gonna happen or not, but that's in the works. We're working on that.
So your $100 is, if you have a team, it's $100 per agent on your team. The $100 covers like your entrance fee. And then we're gonna do, so you guys have to bring one prize from like a vendor or whatever, you have to donate one, but then we'll cover one.
So that your $100 is not going to me to pocket it. You know, I had an agent ask me that. It is not for that. That is going towards the pizza. It's going towards a raffle and park rental. And yeah, so, and then all the money that we get from the raffles goes to KW Cares. So really, this is a good one. KW Cares does give back to our agents in need. So, you know, it's good for not only your clients, but it is good for giving back to the community too. So, want to add in on that?
No, I got a question. If I sign up, how do I know someone's gonna not do the same games?
Hi, that's me.
So what do I,
Keep track of everyone's sign up. So if you sign up for a game or if you need ideas for a game, let me know. There's a section on there to say what booth you're gonna run. But I do have a whole spreadsheet of what everyone's doing. So if there's duplicates, I'll reach out to you or we'll kind of decide maybe we should have 2 of those booths and it's gonna be something popular. So
my next question is there any games that are allowed versus not allowed?
No, have bounce houses and we can have rock walls.
We can have tattoo artists.
Well, I mean, are you really like the ones with like the towels that used to
I
come
don't
on the
know,
wall?
I'm just
I
asking.
don't dirty needles in the park's a great idea.
We're doing, we are doing face paint, we're working on cotton candy, Mikkel's doing popcorn. I'm working on dunk tank, so if anyone wants to volunteer to be dunked, that would be great.
I think we should make it like dunk your agent, like somehow give like buy a $1 ticket or whatever.
Mhm.
And you pay it into it and you have a bunch of bags of like dunk your agent, have our names on it, and then that's not
There you go.
maybe.
Deal?
Will you unsign me?
No. So I mean, we can do things like, tic-tac-toe, like the big board games. We can do a chess game, like we can do,
I'm trying to get someone to sign up with the stick with the dough, like you put the dough on a string. Then you can put the faces on it. So if anyone wants to sign up for that, that'd be great.
cause he's like, I'll have a newborn, but I'll come to eat the dough.
That's crazy.
I know, huh? He's so cute. Anyway, any
So
other
please sign up
questions?
by Friday.
Look,
At
guys,
this point, we have
everybody
six
take
reps.
phones out, take
So-
phones out, take phones out. We need to scan the QR code.
This is one of our 4 client appreciation events. Don't, because it's carnival style, don't be afraid. Don't be
We
afraid.
don't have clowns. It's been
Wanna dress as a clown.
blacklisted. No, we don't want kids to cry. Or me to
I think clowns are the best part.
I know, that's what I was thinking, the big shoes, you know. Okay, so thanks for signing up. If you haven't already done so, please do so by Friday. And yeah, it's a great event. Yeah. Cool.
Okay. Awesome.
If you
Thank
have
you.
questions, get with Shorty or I or Lauren, Shorty or Kenzie. Okay, So no,
Okay, and I haven't seen Tommy here. He's what?
Yeah.
Supposed to give us the mortgage minute.
It's crunch numbers.
You're up.
Checking interest rates.
You're checking in last minute.
oh,
Checking on last minute.
She wants the most up-to-date information.
Thanks for having me, guys. Interest rates are coming down slowly. We saw an improvement over the last 3 weeks. We've seen the lowest they've been in about 3 months. So that's good news for your buyers. I quoted out some clients this week for FHAVA. We're starting to see low sixes, even high fives on yummy stuff. So that's super, super exciting. We're still taking advantage of seller pays to buy down rates, to do 2-1 buy downs, to do those types of things. We do have a new 0 down program through UWM that they're offering. So they're offering a down payment assistance program for first-time home buyers. So Does that require any special addendum, any special wording in an offer?
No, you do want to structure the deal though, because you will need seller pays to really offset closing costs to make it a true 0 down out of pocket. So that is something that you'd want to structure with me and the loan. Make sure you have that all dialed in before you go and make an offer, so that you guys know how to get that all structured. But that is income qualified, so they would need to check their income, make sure they're under certain guidelines there.
What are the guidelines, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, usually it's at 80% of AMI, so median income. It's just gonna depend on county. So something we can look at, depending on the different counties. Most AMIs around here are right around 80.
Does anyone think they can't put that on their Facebook and say, have you heard about blah, blah, blah?
It's a good intro, even if you don't get that, you can intro that in and get other deals as well. So that's always something good to market. We have some flyers as well. If you guys ever want to join market with us on that, I can get those out to you guys. And so that's kind of the quick update on the mortgage world. Any questions for me? What do you have me? Cool. We've been slamming loans through. UWM still getting the loans done 9 days, 11 days from submission to clear to close. So we can still get things done very quickly if needed. I did get an appraisal waiver on my last deal too. It was at 20% down. They like the property value at 20% down. We're continually seeing those things happen. So good stuff there on the mortgage world. Let me know what I can do to help. I'm always usually here back in the office. You can yell while you're here in the meeting. I can walk out.
Okay. No questions for Tommy? You guys all afraid of Tommy?
Don't be afraid.
Terrified.
You don't want to ask him if you can ever ride in his new car?
No, because then you want to buy one.
You wear the
You
matching shirt today.
It's gonna take it for a little hot date for lunch.
So is your car right out there?
Yeah, I can see.
It's the blue one.
The baby blue.
I have the blue one out there. Thanks, Sean.
Yeah.
Me and Sean are working on voting day too. in
Yes,
the office.
yes, we didn't want to tell anyone.
We
Thanks.
must.
Yeah. Okay, I guess for today's guest speaker. Okay, so you can read his really short resume right there, but so years ago, how long has it been, Corey? It's that you've been here. It's been a long time.
Yeah, like 13 now.
13 years. So when I first met Corey, he was full-time military. And he was making and this is when Bradley's dad was he was the OP/team leader at the time. And Corey was making the transition from government service to real estate service. And when you got to know Corey, because he was team leader for a long, long time. So me and him got to know each other very well. And hearing his background, he is one of the most badass people you'll ever know, but you just don't know it.
Yep.
If that makes any sense.
Classified.
Big Teddy.
It is classified. Sure, a lot of it is. So anyway, that's my introduction to Corey.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it.
How old is that picture there?
I have no idea.
He has the same hairstyle. How do you know?
Hasn't really changed in the last 20 years, so it doesn't matter. It's not my high school one. Long hair. But thank you. Yeah, so I spent 21 years in the military, as it says. I ran criminal investigations, and through that I did a couple thousand interrogations. Talked to a lot of people, ranging from simple petty crime type stuff to murder. So I've interviewed everybody in between, pedophiles, all that kind of stuff. A lot of people in prison and have learned a lot doing those kind of things. I went to school, got my master's in counseling and psychotherapy so that I could read body language, that kind of stuff a lot better. So it was fun to go to class, learn a lot of things, and then come and put it to practice when I did actual interviews and interrogations. And then I was the hostage negotiator. In the military, we called it EST. There's a bunch of different names, basically response teams. It's basically SWAT.
That's freaking awesome.
And I was the hostage negotiator for that for a long time. So I've had a lot of experience talking to people and things at this point. And then Justin feels uncomfortable right now by his body.
We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, so that's. I don't know what there is.
Right by the books.
What are we doing here? So this book brought this, obviously everybody knows I'm Corey, I'm with Rhonda. We run our team. I don't know who doesn't know. Corey Burden, I think I've met everybody in there. And Rhonda's my wife. This is the author of this book that she went, did the class with and had lunch with and all that. So this is exactly what to say. And then there's one for just real estate. I think that's what yeah. This is a cool book. If you read this, there's a lot of good stuff in here. And we'll talk about these in just a minute, but questions is the biggest thing that we're kind of taking into consideration today. So today I'm just going to talk to you for a few minutes, give you a little bit of information, and then we're going to work. Eden wants me to work on a full-blown class so that we can do this. It's hard to talk all negotiations in just 15 minutes or whatever. So I'll give you kind of an overview, and then somewhere down the line, hopefully we can get together and do a class. Yeah, a little teaser, a little tip, and hopefully we can take a couple of things away from this. A lot of this information came from this book. Everybody ever read this? If you haven't read it, I highly recommend reading this book. FBI gentleman wrote that book, Chris Voss, and it's fantastic. So I pulled a little bit of information out there for you. I can talk about a few things. Like I said, this is going to be a little bit quick because we don't have a ton of time, but get you a little something. So there's 5 different parts when you get into an investigation or into a negotiation. And we're going to cover those 5 briefly. First and foremost, he who asks the questions is winning the conversation. Anybody ever heard that before? And that's very accurate. We want to make sure that we're asking questions. Have you ever gone into a listing appointment maybe when you first started and you got nervous? So do you have any questions? One of the first things people say, they introduce themselves and they ask, do you have any questions? Ever done that? Anybody? Justin will admit it, but I did. All right. You just gave all the power over to that person, and now you're sitting there and you're defending yourself and you're trying to answer questions. So let's not do that. Let's keep control. So the first part of it, there's 5 little sections of this. That we'll go over. Yeah. It is. It's good. And everything is a negotiation, right? Who's married in here or significant other, every conversation is a negotiation, right? So you necessarily have to win them all, but everything is a negotiation, all of our conversations. So some of them we just kind of don't really think about too much. A lot of them we want to really prepare for. So this is what we're talking about here today, is being prepared. So that's what I picked out of. Basically, if you read this whole book, it's really good. You can memorize this book. It'll give you a lot of information on negotiating. I just took out his preparation because we don't really prepare for negotiations like we should. I don't know if anybody would agree with that or not, but
Scripts every morning.
so scripts are a good part of that, right? In addition to that, right? So if we're going to go to a listing appointment as an example, there's a lot of times where people will sit down and they will work on a pretty little flyer for days and weeks. And I would say, oh, Sean and I have told people, go on an appointment. You've been working on this thing for however long, right? But they don't prepare for, I haven't memorized any other questions. I haven't learned any new questions. I haven't built my repertoire of questions to ask. When we get nervous, we tend to kind of fall inside of ourselves. And then we don't ask the right questions. Let's just say that. Okay, so the first thing is the goal. Think through the best and worst case scenarios. Write down a specific goal, and we want it to be the best case scenario. I know you guys can read, but that is important, right? We want to start, so if you're going in and you're gonna negotiate for your client, right, and you know, I want to hit this level, go for higher than that, so that you at least, you can fall to that if you need to, if you get nervous, and worst case scenario, like, all right, at least I got what I was thinking, but it's higher than if it's just barely over. As an example, if you're going to sell a car, right? And you went to one car lot and they said, I'll give you 10,000. Well, that was what they call that. So there was a study done, and they studied several thousand people, and the best alternative to a negotiated agreement. What that means, they just nicknamed it BANTNA, is if you went to a car lot and you got the person that said they'll give you 10,000 for that car, every car lot you go after that, you're thinking 10,000. You're not careful. So we want to shoot higher than that. So if we've already got 10,000 in your pocket, let's go over here and ask for 15, right? Or more. And that's the idea of that. So don't shoot for the bare minimum of what you're looking for. Go high. Does that make sense?
I did that recently. And the
Yeah.
builder said, yeah, on closing costs, I'm like, I have to have this. So I asked for like $4,000 more than that and got it.
And that's awesome.
It was
That's a
insane.
good example, right?
And it was to extend the seller's split.
Okay,
Like,
well, that's great. And that, I do that every time, right? So when I do closing costs, and that's a perfect example, because you're representing your buyer. The buyers, and when you talk to your buyer, make sure buyer's like, well, I think I need about 2,500, or whatever the number is. And you don't tell them, well, I think I'm gonna get you 35,
Yeah.
40. But you go out and you try to do that and you shoot higher. Does that make sense? Everybody got that? So that's the basic, that's the goal. We're gonna set it up. We're gonna make sure that we're shooting high right up. And like I said, we'll go fast. Down the road, Eden wants me to do like a full 2-hour class on this. A lot of this stuff, I went to school for days and weeks to teach, so it's hard to condense it down into anything, but we'll give you a little taste today.
Or we'd even let you do a series of classes if you want.
Yeah, well, thanks.
Well, come to.
People who expect more get more, so that's what we were just talking about. And the 4 steps for setting your goal: set an optimistic but reasonable goal. Write it down. The statistics on something that's written down versus that, we hear that all the time in KW, is very important. Discuss your goal with a colleague, so that is somebody, hey, I'm gonna go talk to whoever is your accountability partner, basically. Mind your way, right, perfect.
Just right there.
It's just my little head.
Yeah, you're doing great.
And then the last one, carry your written goal with you in the negotiation. Write it down, put it in your pocket. And when you come out of there, right, if you're going into a listing, let's just use that as an example. If you went into that listing and you knew, right, I'm shooting for a 7% listing. Anything less than that, when you come out of there and you pull that out of your pocket, now I've got to talk to myself and do some self-reflection. What did I not do right? What could I have done better? And we can start doing better for the next. Does that make sense? It's just another accountability tool. So I always carry around 3x5 cards. I've got different numbers for different things on these, and I keep them with me. And at the end of the day, I can look at it and see, right, did I achieve what I wanted to achieve today, and how could I get better? Does that make sense? All right, let's go into number 2. The second part of it is the summary. And I know you can read, but summarize and write out in just a couple of sentences the known facts that led to the negotiation. Right. You must be able to summarize the situation in a way that your counterpart will respond with that's right. They don't yet. So in other words, when you go into a negotiation, you want to kind of lay the facts out there, right? First. This is the second part of it. We're kind of laying the groundwork. So when you go into a listing, I'm just going to use that as an example. When you go into a listing, you're going to lay out what you're going to do during that time that you're with them. Right? Does anybody go to a listing? So you're going to go to a listing, you're going to lay out what you do or what you want to do, but you have to make it appealing to them too, right? So when I go in, just as an example, I go in, I give them a little compliment about their in front of their home or whatever it is. But then the first thing I'm going to do is get to the kitchen table, sit down with them, and I'm going to give them a layout. Okay, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to ask you some questions, and we'll go through my process. and then start. Does that make sense? So that I have a setup and I know exactly what I'm doing. So that's the summary. All right, so labels and accusations. This part, we're gonna go through these a little quicker, like I said. Prepare 3 to 5 labels to form an accusation audit. Make a concise list of any accusations they might make. So what these are is things that are gonna trip you up in the interview, right? What, you gotta put yourself in their shoes, so empathy. We're gonna put ourselves in our client's shoes and we're gonna try to go mentally through and write down everything that could come up, that could be a problem. Does that make sense? So accusations is what they call it. And these are just some phrases to extract or diffuse them. So as you're talking to this person, something comes up, you have some stuff in your pocket to diffuse those situations. So if someone is talking to you about commission, why do you deserve your commission? Anybody ever heard that? It's been on a bunch of listing appointments, probably heard that, right? So you want to diffuse that. You don't want to just be like, I don't know, whatever, you know, that kind of thing. I'll do it for 4% or whatever the thing is, right? We hear that all the time these days. No, we don't want to do that. We want to actually negotiate. So these are some examples of ways to do that. Make sense? Very quiet crowd.
They're writing, we're focusing.
They're still stuck on the part where you can read their minds.
It's all part of the fun. All right, calibrated questions. So questions are extremely important. So prepare 3 to 5 calibrated questions to reveal value to you and your counterpart, identify and overcome potential deal killers. We don't like deal killers, right? We want to make sure that we're moving forward, make sure that everybody's on the same page. We've stated what we want and that they've agreed with it. So effective negotiators look past counterparts' stated positions and delve into the conversation. So what that means is you're sitting at the table. You've already told them everything, and they've told you some things. You're like, all right, still pretty superficial. What is really the intention behind what they're actually saying? So that requires us to pay attention and listen. We're gonna actually listen to the people that we're going to talk to. Because if you're just there to talk to them and just put your side out there, it's not a very good negotiation. Would everyone agree? Okay, so that's what they're talking about here. And then, so we've got some questions. So here's a couple of books, and we've already talked about these a little bit, but I can't emphasize enough. You can't have enough questions in your repertoire when you go and do this particular job that we do, right? Sales. These are just some questions for what and how questions. Pretty straightforward. I just threw a few of them on there. You can make up your own, you can read. This book has a lot of different ones in it. Very good, specific to real estate. So we want to make sure that we have a large amount of questions that we can ask people. So that when we get nervous, you know, you're in on a listing and it's got an extra 0 on the end. So it's a $2 million listing. You're like nervous. What's this person going to ask me? And all this, you know, all that stuff. Doesn't matter. It's just go in there. If you have a bunch of questions, if you have questions, you can go in there and you can be confident. You can run through your listing appointment. Of course, we're going to practice and we're going to do that stuff for practice, like we said. But if we have enough questions available to us, we can get through any situation. Does that make sense? All right, so this is set up as what are we up against here? And if we've got some questions to kind of just ferret that out. And what happens if you do nothing? It's actually a real good. I asked that at the listing appointments because I want to know worst case scenario, right? What happens if the client answers that question and said, well, then I'll just stay here. Probably haven't figured out yet what I need to in that conversation. Whereas if they say, you know, I got to leave, I can't afford to pay 2 mortgages. Okay, we're on the right track. Everybody agree? All right. And then response. So when you figure out stuff, you want to diffuse that, right? Whatever their response is, you don't want to just leave it hanging there, right? Diffuse that. So it just seems like insert whatever is important. And that's just one way to do that. That's acknowledging and responding. Pretty straightforward. Right? So okay, non-cash offers. So this is pretty straightforward also, but let's say we're the listing agent on this one and we send an offer. What are some things that we can do that are non-cash related in a transaction? What can we get for our, right? We can get a refrigerator, washer, dryer. What is something else? Possession, okay. And what if we need a lease back? If we're the listing on the listing side, we get a lease back, we get that for free. Anyways, there's a million things you can sit and figure those things out. What's that? Tacos.
I did
Maybe.
get that often.
That's good. Whatever it is, but non-valuable or non-cash items, you want to have a big list of those. Use those. They will help you. Real estate.
Trampoline.
Yeah, the backyard's got a trampoline in it and a big, you know,
Kit.
all kinds of fun stuff, right? Like that, or snow blower, because people moved here from Arizona or Southern
Right.
California. Whatever it is, we want to get those things in there, but we want to know those before we go in, so we have to. So a lot of this, as you can see, is preparation. We don't prepare enough for negotiations. Yeah. Okay, so my time is running short, but listing prep. So basically, what I'd like for you to do, it's either on your phone or on a piece of paper. Two things. First, put yourself in the client's shoes and think of all the things that you think that client's gonna say to you when it comes to, let's just do commission. Now, what I would recommend you do, and I have done myself, is I go through every step of my listing group appointment or buyer appointment right now, right? Because we are exchanging things, or the DOJ is. We're gonna need to do it for both and be very dialed in on all the different steps of your listing appointment. Does that make sense? And go through and put yourself in the client's shoes and say, all right, as an example for commission, well, why do you deserve it? Why would you get that? Can you do less? You know, whatever. There's a million questions that you can come up with, but write them down. And then on the other side, you come back into your shoes and you want to have a question that pull out those different things. Does that make sense? So we're gonna figure out what we think the client would say, and then we're gonna have questions so that we can pull those different things out of it. And you're gonna put those.
The purpose is to make sure that you're resolving all of their questions right straight out of it.
Yes, well, you want to make sure that nothing's left unresolved in the negotiation. And you want, the ultimate thing is, like I said earlier, you're not worried about the pretty little flyer and the stuff that's gonna hang on the door or what you're gonna leave on the table. Because I'll tell you how many times I've walked out of listing appointment with all of those flyers because I was gonna throw them away. And all I cared about was the black and white. The contract is black and white, signature, right? That's all that matters when you go into that. So that's the important part of this, is take your listing appointment and break it down every step of the way. What would the person possibly say? And how can I have a question to pull that off so that I'm not leaving anything?
I find our meanest, most combative friend to do a listing presentation and be like, really rip me apart, ask me all the questions.
You could do it whatever way, because that's good practice, right? And then you know whether you have a lot of questions.
So one thing we do is we do a seller needs analysis. We send that seller needs analysis to our potential clients prior to meeting with them.
Right.
They have several questions, so then when we go to meet with them, we're already prepared with like what they might be thinking, so that we can dive deeper into that.
Sure.
And if
Yeah, we
anything
do.
tremendously, then we already know who we're dealing with, we know the personality type we're dealing with by the way they respond to the answers, and then we can dive deeper into them and meet with them, which would be great. We know that this is important to you, we hope we can understand more about that. but we're-
Right.
and it just-
So you're just asking questions, but you're doing it on a piece of paper or whatever. And I do it verbally, like over the phone when I have a listing, when I make an appointment, I ask certain questions before I get there. So yeah, that, whatever way you want to do it, that's great. But ask the question, right? And then listen to the person on the other side. But biggest thing I'm trying to emphasize today is preparation. Be prepared. Take your buyer presentation, tear it apart, go every step by step, figure out what that person is gonna say to you potentially, and then, and ask people, like you said, that's fine. Ask people, get more people to say things, and then come up with questions, so that you can pull all those different steps out. And then, of course, at the very end, the biggest question I always ask is, ready to work and ready to pen. So that's I think I kept it. I went about 20 minutes, sorry. John, but
No, you're good.
that's a little teaser, and we'll do, I'm probably gonna put together like a 2-hour course. That we'll do, and it'll break down more than this, but we'll do in-depth stuff. Everybody will know. So let's go.
Yeah, okay, awesome. Okay. Okay, thank you, Corey. Our sponsor's not here yet. We still have what? 15 minutes, is that what? I just got us in. Something comes in. Okay, well, I guess that's it. So obviously we had something else we had to talk about. What was that?
Hey, Sean, can I just bring up, please do your opportunities early. And do an opportunity. We still on a weekly basis get several checks without an opportunity. So that delays us getting you money. Plus, we don't put the potential commission income into the market center's numbers until we have an opportunity. So for us, as far as projecting revenue for us as a brokerage for the month, unless there's an opportunity in there and you submitted that for review, we don't have that information. So it's kind of a guessing game on a monthly basis as to how well we're doing or how we are doing without having those opportunities submitted. So
And
please.
we know who the habitual offenders are. We know who you are. Some of you may be in this room, some of you may not be. But the idea is to, well, I'm gonna ask this. When you have the need to create an opportunity, when is that? For a listing site, when is it?
As soon as you have a lead.
Wow. That's profound, right? But that's really when you start.
It's
You
so
guys
you can
realize that.
project your own income as well.
Exactly.
Just the markets.
Yep, and then it progresses down the line, right? To now the listing is now active, right? And it just makes our jobs easier. But once you now go under contract, that's when we start building projections. Our projections is how we build our financials, and KWRI looks at those numbers weekly, how we're doing towards our goals. So your goals, you've seen, Rusty's even got a couple shirts that say it. That's on the bottom of her email. She probably has a tattoo by now. But it says your goals are our goals. You guys have, you know what I'm talking about, right? I'm getting a blank stare. She's like, probably noticed it. I really haven't noticed it. But your goals are our goals. So I don't know if you guys know this, but when we do our goals for the next year, the following year, it's based upon a lot of the goal setting that we do with our top individuals, with our core group. That's how we take our goals as a market center and put them in to the algorithm, if that makes any sense. So, yeah, please start your command early, get them done, and then how often do you submit something? Every time you get something, does everyone do it that way?
Anytime you update.
Anytime you update, how do you do yours? You say no. Okay, how would you do yours? No, I give you. Okay, so I have a TC that does online because I hate paperwork and I honestly don't love, I'm gonna miss something, I'm gonna screw something up. So I make sure my files are clean. However, some people submit something every time they get something new. Some people wait until they have more of a file complete to submit. Did you guys know until you hit that submit button, we cannot see it? Right, you guys know that, right? There's like almost like a firewall between them. So an agent will say, hey, will you look at this addendum for me? It's addendum number 3, and it's in my opportunity. And I say, sure. And I go to pull it up and I can't see it. And they're like, well, it's in there. I'm looking at it. I'm like, well, will you send it to me via PDF? Has anyone ever sent me something via PDF? Yes, so I know a lot of you have. The reason being is because I can't see it till you submit it. A lot of times they don't want to submit it because they're not ready, because maybe something's not accepted or they need special wording on that addendum, and that's when you got to send it to me via PDF. That's the difference. Okay. Is command easy or hard?
Easy.
It's so easy. It's so much easier than the old school way. You guys are spoiled if you don't think it's easy.
If you don't think it's easy, we have a full-time tech trainer.
We have a full-time tech trainer and we have some awesome TCs.
So, okay, the checklist is in there, you know, by the end of the transaction, you've made sure you've got everything, like how embarrassing is it to go back to your client after everything's supposed to be like, oh, I need you to sign this.
Especially if it's a seller's disclosures.
Yeah.
I was talking to the other day, and she's like, I know, seller's disclosures on this when we closed yesterday. I'm like, are you serious?
Okay, this is not me throwing Rusty under the bus because she's not here to defend herself, but I'm just gonna use her as an example because she would want that. Our compliance people are holding her file and, you know, I'm Rusty, you can't hold my file. I go, yeah, they can. And they will. So she goes, how many times do I have to ask? Because she was missing something, a signature on something, and it was something that wasn't important. It was like seller disclosures or something. Everything was signed except for maybe it was like initial missing or something, but our compliance was flagging it. And she says, how many times do I have to ask for it to come back before I can get my part done? And what was my answer? Does anyone know that? Has anyone asked me that?
Is it written in text message? Have you asked them that way or via text or email?
Have you made how many attempts?
I think it's three.
Bam.
I think it's-
You got it right because she's done it. So I will approve it personally. Our compliance department won't. But what happens if you can document and then load into your opportunity, the documentation that I called them on this time, I text them and I've emailed them, here's proof of those. You put that in there, I will, if you've done that 3 times, over a duration of time, you can't do it 3 times in like 5 minutes. I'm smarter than that, right? I will approve it and allow it to go through the system. Why do we want to do that?
So we have documentation when we get audited.
Documentation for when we get audited. Do you know how often we get audited? Who's been audited? Not IRS audited, because that sucks too, but who's had their files audited? You
Well,
have,
had you-
I know we've had we used to have a lot of audits. Okay, we don't get audited anymore. Why do we not get a lot of audits anymore? Because they hate auditing us because they know we're gonna be compliant. Why are we compliant?
That's
Because of
perfect.
Ken. And all the systems we've created through time and best practices, when we get audited, we pass them. Right? It's very, the times that the division has contacted me and say, I'm going through this investigation with your agent, you know, XYZ or whatever it may be. It's usually stuff that's outside of us. Why? Because we are, knock on wood, knock on fake wood, that I feel like we're audit proof because of our systems. And we have great people like Ken helping and looking at stuff.
Well, Sean and our compliance group as well. I mean, we're a team, right?
Absolutely.
And some of it's not negotiable, you know, so there are certain things that need to be signed and initialed and they're very important. So don't put yourself in that position where you're waiting for a check because you're missing something that way. I'll just say, and this kind of goes back to negotiating, right, Corey? But if you're trying to get initials or signatures after you've closed, everybody's motivation has dropped significantly. Your motivation to get it, the other side's motivation to give it to you is almost zero, if not zero. Because a lot of brokerages don't have the same standard that we have, so they've already been paid. The agent on the other side of the transaction has already been paid because they don't hold them to the same standard that we hold you. And so they don't care, they've been paid. So that's why it's difficult to get those signatures and initials sometimes. Sometimes it's also because the other agent just isn't compliant, but do yourself a favor and try to get those at the time. And if you'll submit your documents as they come in, we'll tell you what you need. And it's a lot quicker and a lot easier to get it during the transaction process than after. And then just the last thing I want to bring up is cancellations and getting earnest money refunds. If you have a cancellation and your buyer wants their earnest money back for some reason, the fact that you upload the cancellation into the opportunity and submit it for review does not trigger us writing your client a check. In order for us to know that your client wants a check, we have to have an email from you saying, hey, this transaction canceled. the buyer wants their earnest money back for now, please cut them a check, send that to Chris and copy me on it. That starts the process in getting your client's money back for them. Every week we have agents that are frustrated with us because they think that submitting it to the opportunity triggers that. We don't know whether your client wants their earnest money back or not. Maybe you're gonna go find them another house and they don't want it back, but if they do, please send Chris and I an email saying, hey, this has failed, this opportunity's failed, and the client doesn't want their earnest money back. And then we'll get you the earnest money within 2 business days.
And you guys know how much Chris loves spreadsheets, right? So he takes those emails and he puts them on a spreadsheet with the opportunity. It'll have the address of the property, if it's going to the buyer or the seller, and then where he's either gonna mail it or pick it up. Sometimes agents like to pick it up because they want to hand deliver it, is another opportunity for a conversation. But those go to a spreadsheet. So like Ken is saying, you gotta send an email to give us some direction on where to go with that. So. Okay, good comments. I'm gonna, sorry, Dalton, I'm gonna give you an example. Today he asked me, he's got a client who's a buyer who's not wanting to do an inspection. Is there a form for that?
Yeah.
The answer is yes. Where do we find that form? The MLS. Where in the MLS? Forms. Where in the forms? Search.
Okay, believe it or not, that doesn't bring it up. I tried.
So Dalton knew he had one, he had seen one, and he was like, I can't figure out where this was. Okay, so this is one that we don't talk about very often because good thing, most of our clients do inspections, right? They do a version of an inspection. We do want this form in there. It's actually a HUD form. So in your MLS, I know I don't have the MLS up right in front of me, but in your MLS, as you go to your form section, it's that little section that's down here where where you would find the blue pamphlet. It's actually right below that, and it's a link that goes to HUD. And then it's a little form that you print out that says, I waive doing an inspection. That in your opportunity, instead of the inspection, is, if you're not gonna have an inspection, goes a long way with compliance. So thanks for bringing that up today, because that was something we haven't talked about forever.
Yeah, that's a CYA form.
Yep.
Good enough.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, talking about initials, so let's say someone accepts, let's say the seller accepts an offer, but they're missing and they forget to initial one area. Are you technically under contract?
If they signed, okay, so on the rep sheet, what does it say it is for acceptance? What are the steps for acceptance? Signed, communicated, and the acceptance box is checked. Doesn't have to be received. Okay. Now, if they miss an initial on one of the other pages, even on that page, if the initial is missed, it is absolutely still accepted. It's almost like fixing a clerical error later. So yeah, which it's not if you'll have one of those be missed somewhere on one of your transactions, it's when. So just know that it's going to happen. We get busy, the other side's busy, you're doing this, you're doing that. Sometimes we miss an initial box. That does happen. Now, when you do it automated through the electronic signature ones, as long as they're put in every section, the system doesn't allow you to miss them. That's why those help. However, like, yeah, in the old days when we used to have wet signature stuff, there was stuff missing more often than there is now. So the online signature ways have gotten way better than they used to be. So now, to answer your question, if the signature part was missed and all the initials were, then yes, that would not be considered accepted. Do you guys know why we initial the bottom of every page? A lot of answers. What was yours?
Can't be forged later.
Yeah, maybe.
Just so that they've at least looked at the page.
Bam. That's the reason right there. It's to prove that the offer has been presented.
Why does page 7 have signatures and initials?
Probably to be redundant, because they want to say that they want to acknowledge that every page has been looked at. I don't know. kind of odd.
Get rid of that.
Yeah. So, I know the forms committee is, with all these changes with NAR, they're going through all the forms right now. To fix all of that. And so, back in the olden days, they used to give some of us large brokers. Like they're saying, okay, we're gonna update this form. Let's say that there's 10 forms you're gonna update. They would pick different brokers and say, hey, will you run this through your past your agents and see what they give for feedback? So they used to do that pretty regularly. I don't know if they still do that or if they just don't ask me anymore. Could be that. Could be that.
Sean, you're done.
Yeah, I'm out. Been kicked out. So anyway, I'm assuming you're a pro media guy?
Yes.
You're up. You're up.
Popped it just in time.
Yeah.
All right.
There it is, right? Don't ask me how to use it.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
I'm actually gonna record myself.
With this angle, right? Possibly not, but thank you guys so much for having me. My name is Austin. I am a photographer and work with the marketing at Pro Media Co. This is our team. Lennon is our founder. He's this guy over here. Some of you may have seen him before. Some of you have not. We've been here a couple of times, presented for a couple of times. We are a full service media, real estate media company. We do everything from photos to video to drone to Matterport to anything that any realtor would ever need to market their listings, but not just market their listings, but market themselves. Because for us, that's kind of like the more important part is that not only are you trying to get your listing sold, but you're trying to make yourself look good in the process of doing it. So our goal is that when next time you guys go to a listing meeting, that the marketing is the last thing that holds you back. When you're trying to convince that next client that you're the person that's going to market their listing, that you're going to do it well, and that their house is going to look great, and that their houses will sell for the pricing that you guys are looking at. So Lennon, he is like I said, he's the founder of Pro Media. He's been doing this for about 8 years. I've been working with him for about a year and a little over a year, and it's been a fantastic experience. And his experience working with realtors has been really useful, trying to kind of push on and be able to bring that kind of experience to you guys, so that we can bring you the top quality media that you guys deserve. Speaking of which, yep, this is the services that we provide. I gave kind of like a small kind of deal of it, but this is kind of a more in-depth list of what we do. Kind of the things I did mention, things like Twilights, 2D floor plans. We also do a lot of agent videos where we try to include our agents in our videos to try to help kind of boost engagement. And so kind of a little less about obviously like us and what we do, because we obviously do all that, but more of just like our work. Here's the quality that you come to expect when you're using this. We have a team of about 4 or 5 photographers that pretty much whoever is sent out, you'll get quality like this. We train on the same standard, and we try to make sure that no matter who's at your listing, you're going to be getting the same service. This is some of our video work, and this is also what you can come to expect working with us. And like I said earlier, we like to put our agents in front of the camera. We've learned that whenever they post the videos that we make for them and they're in front, they generally have more engagement with their audiences.
Love that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We do another service that we kind of dub Ryan Serhant Reels, where we basically kind of follow people as they explain the home. They kind of show off pieces as we walk through the home with them. Again, this is really popular for like social media, Instagram, TikTok, and usually, again, putting you in front of the camera usually tends to help boost engagement with the people that you want to work with. This is a video. There we go. This is we've done work for other Keller Williams agencies across the valley, and this is just kind of an example of one of the ones that we did for one of the agents in the Salt Lake office. This is including kind of lifestyle footage along with the property. So we offer kind of like anything that you could really want to try to help market your listing, whether it's lifestyle footage, just putting it in front of the camera to introduce the home, or just straight up full cinematic videos that help kind of show off the best. We've also started working on social media in a more in-depth manner where we actually start working with agents to try to help kind of boost for people that generally have not necessarily enough time, energy, or they don't feel they have enough creativity to kind of boost their social media. We work with them to try to create videos, short form videos that basically help try to engage with their social media audiences. We take on a lot of the scheduling, and we'll meet with you guys once a month to come up with like 8 to 12 videos a month to try to come up with ideas, how we're going to accomplish it. And then we set a time to go out in about 3 to 4 hours for a day to go out and do all that shooting. We also offer 3D tours and 2D floor plans as well. So we offer Matterport and also just 3D floor plans such as these. Our booking is really, really simple. Anyone can really do it. You just go to our website, which will have a QR code coming up here in just a sec, but you can do it. It's so easy that if you have an assistant, they can do it for you as well. This is our contact. Who here has a photographer already that they usually work with? I was like, everybody should at least be raising their hand a little bit. But we want to respect your guys' relationship. But if they are ever unavailable or too busy or on vacation, save our number as Pro Media in parentheses backup photographer. That way that if you guys ever are in a pinch and you guys maybe need a photographer, but your current one isn't available, we're always available to try to help you guys, especially with the team. We try not to book anything further than 2 to 3 days out, but we try to be pretty available pretty quickly. So before any questions, if you guys want to take a picture of this code, this is our first time using us code. It'll give you $300 off your first shoot. Give us a nice risk-free tryout so that so you guys can determine how you like our services.
Do you see $300?
$300 off your first shoot. So if you got just our basic package that comes with 25 photos and 6 drone photos, it'd be totally free. So now any questions?
So for just like the monthly, marketing services,
Yeah.
do you have different packages for that, or is it?
We do. We have different packages for it, and it's usually just dependent upon time and the amount of videos kind of contracts. Our most popular has been like a 6 month with an 8 video package. Basically we will I don't remember the prices off the top of my head. Lemon's usually the one that runs the prices on that. So, and he was unfortunately unable to be here. But yes, we do have different kind of scales of like, depending on what you're needing and how long. And then we can help you come up with content and even offer posting services. So we can even post it for you and manage it on our end if you're just too busy. Any other questions?
Are all your prices online?
All of our prices are definitely online. As soon as you start booking, you'll see all the pricing for every services.
It probably has where you fill out the square footage and number of beds and baths and things like that, right?
Yeah. It'll do that, but currently our pricing is set to like if you want 25 photos, it's a certain price. If you want 40 photos, it's a certain price. And if you want like 70 or if you want 70 photos, it's a certain price. So, but it'll ask for the details like put in square footage, things like that. But the square footage at the moment doesn't affect too much.
Okay, awesome. You'll be around for other questions?
Yes, I will. I'll be around for a little bit afterward. I'll keep that code up if anybody wants to take a picture of it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, thanks guys for coming today. Don't forget, we have test prep tonight and we have Ignite, and I don't remember the topics. I know one of them is
Oh, they're Legion.
Legion and database. It was recording, that's why.
Oh, and it's not in the middle of the
And
It always happens.
class, Bradley's gonna go over your opportunity management too, right?
Yeah, 2 o'clock. Okay, perfect. All right, thanks guys.
So I wanted to ask you, do you do a lot of?